Good morning and happy Friday. Welcome to the Autopsy of Her, Healing, Evolving, Resiliency. I am Iris Denise Owens, your host, and on the line with me is my beautiful sister and co-host. Good morning, honey bunny. How are you?
Good morning, honey bunny. How you doing? Stephanie Deani Green.
Well, it's
I am
good to
doing
see
great.
you.
Good to
Good.
see you too.
So, guys, as we promised you last week, we have a very special guest on the line with us today. Special in the way that she is dear to my heart. She is my first baby, and I am so excited that she is joining us today. And so, guys, I want to introduce you to Nadia Owens, the Nadia Owens. Hey, hun.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
We are so excited that you are able to be with us today.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am excited to be here and to talk to you all about motherhood and such a big part of my life. So I'm excited.
Yes. Well, awesome. So we're going to jump in. So, guys, today we're going to focus on motherhood.
Yes.
Motherhood, perceived motherhood, reality motherhood. So that's where we're going to jump in. So now, as we were talking last week, we were having this conversation about motherhood and about working and about what people perceive motherhood is and versus reality or everyone's reality as what it looks like. So tell me, what was your perceived idea of motherhood versus your reality now?
So that's a really good question. So I have amazing moms and mom figures in my life. And so I had great ideas of what motherhood could be, should be, is from growing up. It's about, so I think that if you had asked, I have a almost 5-year-old. So I think if you had asked me 6 years ago what motherhood is like, I would have said, you might hear my baby in the background. I probably would have said like a lot of cheerleading, a lot of advocating, a lot of fierce love and discipline where necessary. I think a lot of that is also, so like, I think that definition is also deeply impacted not only by the incredible mothering that I received, but also because I have spent most of my career working with children. So I'm a high school teacher mostly. I do lots of other things now, including writing curriculum, but my backbone of my life has always been working with young adults, working with children, and so thus working with their mothers. I've seen a lot of fierce advocating of children over the years, a lot of loving, a lot of placating, a lot of good and bad parenting, or what I might perceive to be good and bad parenting. And I think 6 years ago, I also would have said that parenting is seeing your children's faults and sometimes ignoring them.
Okay.
That's a good perspective.
And or figuring out how to support them and help them to see their strengths and their weaknesses, right? Because as a high school teacher, I've met lots of kids over the years who are all wonderful. Every child I've ever worked with is amazing. And there are some kids who have had parents who really helped them to I feel like have really been able to see where their strengths and weaknesses are, or maybe some faults that they had, and help to steer them and show them how to improve them. And then I've seen some parents who really struggle with that. And I think that how I feel about that has really evolved and changed from what I would have responded 6 years ago and now actually having children. So I think that 6 years ago, Nadia, I think Nadia today has realized that it's a lot more complex than I would have realized. I think I understand you, Iris, and much more than I probably did as a child or before I had a child, which everyone told me. They said that you will understand your mother more when you have children, which makes sense, which makes sense. Like, I don't know how else to describe, how else to describe that change, that understanding in choices or feelings or moments that maybe as a kid or even as a teenager I didn't really understand, or I didn't really make sense to me, or that I thought I understood that I really didn't. And I think then that impact on how I parent or how I think about connecting with my children or disciplining my children or correcting my children is really interesting for me, because it is definitely different than I maybe would have thought for myself. So I think that very much is the perceived versus the real, because when you get pregnant for the first time, or however you come into parenthood, whether you adopt a child or a child just enters into your life, which is another possibility, you know, like however you become a parent, however you become a mother, I don't know that anything can prepare you. You know, I remember looking at my first child for the first time and being like, I'm a mother. But what does that mean? What does that, you know, like, what is this connection? What is, like, I know I feel connected to this child, but why do I feel connected to this child? You know, like it's definitely an evolution that I was both deeply trying to prepare myself for and was in no way, shape, or form prepared for and will never be prepared for. So I just, every day I'm like, okay, what are we doing? So yeah.
And so it's interesting. So I have to share. So Nadia and I are, now where'd you go?
I am right here. I just, in true mothering fashion, realized that I had left my rice on. I'm right here. I apologize. I'm sorry.
Live radio. That's what I love it. That's why I love it.
My rice on. Go ahead, Iris. I'm sorry.
Don't burn the rice. Aaron is not going to want to eat.
I left the rice on. Go ahead.
So guys, I just want to, so this kind of ties into what we had been talking about pretty much the last 3 weeks, right? About what role do you play in your relationship? And then last Friday, we discussed about what role do you play in relationship when there are already established roles. So for me, I met Nadia at 5. I married Nadia's father. And so there was a mom and a dad already in place. And here I was, I had never had children. And there came along this precocious, intelligent, vibrant, speak my mind, just never stop talking, never took a nap, anything you said, but why? She truly was the but why.
Yeah.
And so I remember saying to Nadia, we were in the car one day, and my mom always remembers this. We were in the car one day, it was snowing or something was happening. And something happened. I slammed on brakes, and Nadia, because she would always sit between, like she would supposedly be in the seatbelt, but she would sit between the seats and she would talk and she'd talk. And so when the slip hit the brakes, she like slid to the front, but she never stopped talking. She like, and I remember saying to her, Nadia, give me 5 minutes. And so she said, okay, Iris, 5 minutes. Then Nadia goes, but Iris, 5 minutes. Well, how long is 5 minutes? I don't even know how long 5 minutes is. And what do you expect me to do in the 5 minutes? And then I was like, you know what, Nadia, just keep talking.
Yes.
But the great thing for me and for Nadia was that we realized that we were strangers to one another. She had a perceived notion of who she thought I may have been or how I may have treated her. I had a perceived notion of what or how a child should behave, even though I had never been a mother. Like I've taken care of children, but I think our dynamics were really great. And so like today, Nadia and I have a relationship as if I birthed her into the world myself.
Yeah.
And so I always tell people, I have never referred to Nadia as a stepchild or anything, because that's just not our relationship.
Yeah.
But it took work for us to get there, right?
Yeah.
And so seeing her become a mother was like, it melts my heart to see her with her own children, because our parents always tell us, just wait till you have kids. And so Nadia's children are reincarnation of
funny to hear you talk about me talking all the times. That literally is Eden, just my 5-year-old, just all day. And my husband's always like, she does not stop talking. And I'm like, she does not stop talking. And I'm like, oh, that must be what Iris is talking about. And I think that in some ways I feel extra lucky because I have had more than one mother, and I have had, the ability to learn from you, Iris, and from my mom, from that, like to learn about mothering and how that can look in so many different ways. And I have always appreciated, and I think that being a teacher and in a care profession where I'm in some ways mothering other people's children,
absolutely,
some more successfully than others, have seen the power of all of these folks in someone's life. Like, I know, Iris, that you were part of my life in a way that I think that sometimes our society doesn't reward or congratulate or support motherhood that's not birth motherhood. And I think that is its own thing that we should question and think about. And I think within the Black community, there is so often so much motherhood that is not birth motherhood. You're like your aunts and your grandmas and the best friends and all those folks. But like, I've just always felt really blessed that I have had so many different vantage points on motherhood, to support me in creating my own vision for what it could be, or I think that's really, really special and really important, because the societal expectations for who you are can be so overwhelming. I think that if you don't have some counterpoints or some people to be like, it's okay to give your kid peanut butter and jelly and broccoli for dinner every night. Or like, you can always try again tomorrow, or having 2 kids is really hard and you can both like be super excited that you have the second baby and like really overwhelmed. I think that it's so important to have all of those images. And I feel really lucky and really blessed that I've lived in my life and had the opportunity to have all of those images, because I see a lot of moms who don't, and who really struggle because we're all really hard on ourselves already. Yes. And then if you don't have anybody who's like pushing back and being like, no, you did a really good job, or you're doing a really good job, or all the things you always tell me all the time, Iris, I think it can be really easy to be really hard on yourself. So yeah, I think that everybody should have lots of moms.
The reality is, it does take a village.
It does.
And I could relate to you because I was adopted. And not a traditional adoption where I always knew my biological mother. So from the time I could always remember, I was always told that I had 2 mothers. So that's what I always knew. And it is a benefit to that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And how can we, as a society, I feel like as Black people, we can often be supportive of those types of families, and how can we be even more supportive and show how amazing that type of family support is, that type of multiple mothering is in the development of children and young people. Because I think that as we talk about reality versus perception, I think that one of the things that a lot of mothers will talk about today, or when I talk to the mothers that I spend a lot of time with today, a lot of what we talk about is the isolation of motherhood, and the isolation of modern motherhood, right? Because so many of us no longer live within close family units, no longer live within 15 minutes of our, when I talk to my grandma, and she tells me about, she lived two blocks down from her mom, and she dropped kids off there, she was a single mom of 5 kids, and it was really hard, and she had incredible amounts of community. You know, her husband's mother lived 3 blocks away and her mother lived 4 blocks, you know, so like I think that modern motherhood and what's often seen as good modern motherhood is not asking for help, is being isolated, is doing it on your own. And images from the women who raised us who are saying, no, that's not good, is more of what we need as more modern moms. To push back against that type of isolationist, which is not healthy.
It's not healthy.
And so one of the things, you know, when Nadia and I, you know, when we talk, I ask about the kids, but I always ask about you first, because I do think that at times our role as mother takes over who we are. Like people forget that I'm still a person. I'm still a human being. I still have a whole lot of emotions. I have a whole lot more emotions because now I am a mother. I have so many more concerns, right? And then people lay out these quote unquote, what they believe are what a mother should be, what a mother should do, how a mother should behave. I remember my mom, when your brother was younger, you know, I remember the first time Rondo cried and would not go to sleep. And I had come home from my mom's house and I was like, well, maybe I'll try giving him cereal tonight because I just don't know what else to do, right? So I take this little spoon of cereal, put it in the bottle, and I'm trying to give it to him, but not realizing there was a special type of nipple that was needed for the cereal and the milk to come out of the bottle.
And so you need a wider nipple.
Oh my God. So Rondo is screaming his head off and I'm crying with Rondo and I'm on the phone with my mom. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm a worse mother. I remember I crying. And so my mother goes, just cry with him. I'm sorry, what? Cry with him. You cry with him. He'll see you crying and eventually he'll pay attention to you. He'll stop crying. Ma, what? But she was right.
Yeah.
It worked. Because you have to learn the thing. So your baby and your relationship and your children is a unique bond and a unique relationship. And what may have worked for you with your mom may not necessarily work for your children and you. So you have to learn to develop what works, right? And what's important. And I think the modern day mom has it better than we, because you know why? I think modern day moms, I hope, are learning how you can't do it all. And if you don't get it all done, it's okay. Whereas myself, previous generations, I'm doing it all. I'm the mother, I'm the wife, I'm the teacher, I'm the nurse, I'm the laundry, I'm the cleanup woman, I'm the this, I'm the that. I'm every woman. That's a lie.
Yes.
We are not.
We are not. You can be a woman, but not all at the same time.
Right. Like they say, you can have anything in life you want, but not all at the same time. And it's the reality versus the, you know, the perception of what motherhood is there. I remember when I was pregnant and Rhonda was born and I was at home with him. And, you know, the meter, you know, in Jersey, right? The guys come around to read the meter. And I remember the meter guy would come all the time and I would never be dressed. I would never be dressed. Like I'd still have on pajamas and all this stuff. And this one day I had gotten my hair done. I was dressed. I had makeup on and I heard the doorbell ring. I was like, it's the meter guy. I want him to know that I do take a shower and I get dressed. And I opened the door and it wasn't right meter guy. I burst out and started crying.
I love that.
That was your hormones at work.
Yeah. Well, it's like when I texted you and I said, do I need to dress nice? I'm clean.
See?
I cleaned today.
She's like, be comfortable, baby. Just be comfortable.
Right. And Nadia, so I want you to talk about, because you're a high school teacher. You teach history and what's the other subject you teach?
History.
Okay,
social sciences.
Social sciences. Okay. And you taught high school, right? Okay. So once you had children and you had your second child, what decision did you make?
Yes. So I very much am living that pandemic parenting life. So about, oh my goodness, about a year and a half ago now, pushing 2 years ago now, I made the decision to not sign my contract. So, along with millions of other women who have just been so impacted. And I guess the parent who has been the care provider often, whatever that looks like in a relationship, have had to make a decision that working full time during the pandemic in the way that so many of us have been working full time just was not realistic. All of the days that my daughter had to be off last year, or she couldn't go to school, or all of those things were just really impacting us. And I think that for a lot of women, we also, during that time where we were forced to be home and maybe we did have some type, well, I think there's all these different possibilities. We've got women who have no childcare, who have had the hardest time finding childcare. I'm on a parent listserv, and at least once a week, somebody emails and asks if anybody has a nanny recommendation. And then you'll see all these other emails that come through that are like, please respond all. Right. That says a lot about the state of childcare and problems with finding childcare right now. So I think that's one thing that's really impacted people. The incredible cost of childcare. It is so expensive. Especially, childcare is expensive in every market. It is differently expensive, but it's expensive in every market.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And then also, I think for me, seeing the flexibility that being at home allowed me to be more present for my family and for myself, really was huge for me. And so I think that my decision to walk away from my job was for a lot of different reasons. Teaching online during the pandemic was miserable. But in my opinion, I feel like teaching online during the pandemic was miserable, and so did millions of other teachers who are no longer teaching. But I think also realizing that like I could get a run in, I could not do a full day of chaos at school and then come home and feel too overwhelmed to engage with my kids, was really amazing. And I wanted more of that. I wanted to feel less like I needed to have it all, or I needed to do everything. I don't know that I so much had the expectation that I would do it all or have it all. And I think I felt overwhelmed even just by the most basic level of taking care of myself and my kids, let alone self-care or finding time to do things for me or anything like that. That was impossible because, we might have a guest star. That was impossible because I was just trying to do the basic things. Hello. Here comes the child.
Your mini me.
You say hi to Vivi and Miss Stephanie. Aha, check.
Hi, Eden. You are beautiful.
I got really tall.
Yes, you did get really tall.
Did you take this to school today? Okay.
How was school today?
Good.
Good.
What did you do?
I played with JC today.
You play with your friend JC?
Yeah.
Nice.
But I didn't want to play with Sunani.
Oh, you didn't want to play with Sanani? Why are you making that face?
Azani.
Oh, Azani. I'm sorry. What did Azani do that you didn't want to play with them?
Oh, I was in the art center and Azani kept following me.
Oh.
And when we were in the courtyard outside, they kept following us.
Well, maybe Azani and London just want to be friends. I don't know. I don't know who any of these children are. Okay, you go take off your coat, and I know you go take off your coat and your shoes, and
BB loves you.
Yeah.
Ice cream, but it was.
Oh no, is that what took you all so long?
Oh, I'm sorry. You get it tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, every time you go there, it's closed. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna change locations. Hold on, give me 30 seconds.
Sure.
She is beautiful.
I'm loving this moment right here. And you know what? This moment is being captured. I love this. I love this so much.
Nice.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that is so beautiful. It's like that's the way it's supposed to be,
Absolutely.
And that's a beautiful thing. Oh my God. She's gorgeous. Oh, scarcely Nadia.
I'm hiding in the baby's room now.
Where were you at now?
I love it.
I'm in the baby's room.
Okay, that's a good place to be.
And luckily, he can't come and find you yet. So there you go.
Eden can, but he can't.
Yes, she can.
By the time you have the second child, you knew the countdown. When I had the second one, okay, I could get so much accomplished, and he's not walking yet.
Yes,
nope. Countdown.
Yeah, no, my days are numbered. He's rolling. So
exactly.
Okay, I appreciate the both of you. This is going to be an interesting recording.
You're welcome. We trust and believe we understand.
So Nadia, we were talking the other day, and tell me what you have discovered about you in this transitional period of motherhood.
I think, I've discovered that I've actually discovered some really interesting things about myself that that have been really fun. When I was younger, Iris knows this, I loved to dance, and I danced a lot as a kid, and all the way through college, I danced a lot. I loved to take dance lessons. And then, when you become an adult, oftentimes, and I always tell high schoolers this, to try to hold on to some of your hobbies, because it can be really hard when you start working and start adulting and then kids and stuff, to continue hobbies. And I think one of the things that I've realized is, yes, I loved to dance, and I still love to dance. And I also just like physical movement. I like to move my body. I feel healthier. Right, all the things that they always tell us about the oxytocin that you get from exercising, all of it is true.
Right.
And so having more time to exercise is just so important to me. I've realized that making that time to exercise is super important to me. I've realized that one of the things that I do need from a work space, but that I can recreate for myself to the best of my ability, is connections with folks that I don't live with. So I love my family, and I got to talk to folks that I'm not related to in some way, shape, or form every day. And so how can I make that time to connect with people? I think if anything, I think that being home has allowed me to make more time for myself than when I wasn't at home. And that has been really big for me. And if there are other things that I said, Iris, that you want to remind me that I said, please tell me. But
I will.
I think that in my mind is probably one of the big things. Oh my goodness. Out. I think that is one of the big things that stands out to me, is just the ability to do things for myself and find time to be in my head alone.
I like that.
Yes.
You also realize that you love to plant and grow.
Oh, yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes. I've become an epic gardener.
Nice.
I actually just asked my neighbor. My neighbors totally think I'm crazy. I asked my neighbor was outside raking up his leaves today, and I have a serious compost pile going, and I've added worms to it and all types of stuff. And in the winter, it's good to collect leaves in the fall, because then you can feed your compost pile with what's called brown stuff. all through the winter when everything else is covered. So it'll help the worms. It'll keep creating nice, delicious soil for in the spring when I plant my plant. So, but today,
I didn't tell your grandma that.
So you put the leaves in the compost?
So I have like a couple huge bags of leaves, and I will add that to the compost throughout the winter. When I don't have like grass clippings and stuff like that. But my neighbor was out there raking his lawn, and I was like, hey, can I have your bags of leaves? And he was like, sure. But yes, gardening has, during the pandemic, I had some friends, some other moms, and we needed breaks from the house. And so we started meeting in this little local garden, and a couple of us were gardeners, not myself. But they really got me into it because it became a way for us to connect. We'd have a little wine, we'd do a little gardening, we'd talk a little bit, and we could be outside together, especially at the beginning when none of us knew
on the counter
or what we could do. So, and now it's just become such a part of my daily life and gets me outside and gets me active and meeting people in my community. And it is definitely a love that I don't think I ever would have realized had I not had this opportunity to reimagine what being a working mom looks like for myself.
That's nice.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. See, and so what my takeaway from you, Nadia, is that you are living life, right, with your family, your growing family, but you're living life on your own terms without allowing someone else or society to tell you this is what your life should look like. This is what you should be doing because you are a mother now, you're a wife now. I think that is where we sometimes lose ourselves, for lack of a better word, because we don't take the time out to identify our life, like what it really is, what it looks like, right? Because I think we all have a vision in our head based on what we've been taught or what we have seen. But until you're in it, it's important to be able to identify, this part is not, I don't fit here, right? Or this thing that you all keep saying I need to do doesn't fit my life, my reality life, or my real life. You know, that perceived life sounds great, looks great, and on paper, oh my God, it works wonderfully. But in reality, it creates more stress and hardship, I think, than we need most times. But if we keep trying to do it someone else's way, we struggle and we suffer, I think, through it, as do our family and our children.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's interesting because I've been, as a mother, especially during this period of time of the pandemic, when a lot of mothers were talking, and just working folks in general were talking about being burned out and so many different things. I think that I've been really interested in doing a lot of reading about mothering, and a lot of both fiction and nonfiction about motherhood, and everything talks about the healthiest and happiest parents are the ones who've created who have found balance between home and non-home as best as possible. So it is not, I don't know if you could hear her in the background. Enid, I'm on the phone. I don't know that it is the easiest or the easiest thing to find that balance, but I think that is one of the things that's really pushed me. And then also I've been very lucky to have a super supportive partner in that. So, Aaron, I think that when we got married, I very much did not Iris, back to your earlier point about being a mother, being a wife, maybe today versus a little while ago. I very much set an expectation, I think, or had an expectation, or was like, look, here's what I'm not doing. I don't know, like tried to create some type of vibe. I don't know how well I did or didn't do it, but I think that having a really supportive partner and insisting for myself as best I can that I have an identity outside of motherhood has been really helpful and made my motherhood stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So Eden and I go to the garden together.
Mm-hmm.
I also go alone. You know, like I like to read books with her, and I like to read books by myself. You know, I think that makes me better, and it's so interesting to begin to read all these new visions of what this experience can be.
Mm-hmm.
That's not all encompassing, that has layers and complexity, and is not just child rearing, which I think for a long time is what is the only thing that people talked about. Like even within the mantra of having, or the idea of having it all, you still only talked about the raising of the kids. You know, you didn't really talk about the complexity of all of the things. So yeah, gardening has been huge. It's like really, I love it. I'm terrible at it, but I love it so much. It's just fun. It's just fun.
Well, she doesn't kill things anymore, and
I don't kill things anymore.
I still have a brown thumb, so yeah. I don't play in the dirt. Well, do I actually? That's not true. I play in the dirt. I cut the yard. I clip the yard. I do all the hedges, all this stuff.
There you go.
But I still can't grow anything. So there you go.
Getting out and connecting with nature.
I love growing things. I grew up. My mother had a garden. I grew up in Teaneck, New Jersey, and my mother had a garden. Beautiful. So when I was growing up, all the tomatoes, the collard greens, the peppers, the corn, and green beans all came from our garden in the backyard.
Nice.
So, you know, I never had I planted flowers, but one of my things I do want to do is have a garden, which I know I've shared that with you, Iris. Mm-hmm. And so I just think that's the most, I got it when I move into a new home. That's one thing I definitely want to do. I think yeah.
I also think something, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I wanted to ask Nice. So how long have you and Aaron been married?
We just celebrated 7 years of marriage. 7 years.
Yeah. I did see your wedding pictures. Beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, honey.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
So I always
still learning a lot. we're on the earlier side. We're still learning a lot every year, every day, every year. A beautiful testament, and I'm excited to continue. Somebody the other day asked me, like, give me some tips. And I was like, you give me some tips. I'm still learning with you. But thank you very much.
And the reality is you keep learning every day. That's really what it is. You know, once I know him so well, I know her so well. No, you're never gonna know it, you know.
Exactly.
We're changing each and every day.
Yes, I believe that.
Yeah. For me, I told Nadia, it was when Nadia graduated from high school, that I remember Nadia saying to me, I said, how did you manage to get through high school without a boyfriend? Right? Because that is always, you know, that's a thing. Young teenage girls, young teenage boys are, you know, they get all, you know, everybody wants a boyfriend. Everybody's like, I'm lonely and I'm right. And so I will never forget, Nadia said to me, she says, I saw what these girls were going through with this whole boyfriend thing. And she said, I realized I didn't have time for that kind of drama. She said, I just needed to get through high school, get out of school, and to do, you know, go on to do what it is I have planned for myself in my life. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was so profound, because at that age, most of us are not that, you know, we may have these ideas about what we are going to do with our lives, but she saw being in relationship at that point, that it was more of a distraction than anything else. And I appreciated that about Nadia, because she was being honest, because anytime you're in relationship, it's a distraction. Exactly. It can be a good distraction. It could be a bad distraction. But I love the fact that she always stayed focused on her goals. And so that makes me so proud of her, because that's the one thing, like I said, always precocious, always spoke her mind, but it's told me early on in life that she was not going to allow anyone or anything to lead her beyond where she wanted to go.
Yeah. That's a beautiful thing. That is nice, honey.
And so
I adulted in high school, but a lot of these kids want to be adulting in high school, and I just don't get it. That is, I agree 100% with you on that one.
Yeah.
I think that especially now that I've taught high school for so long, it's really interesting because high schoolers really want to be adults.
Mm-hmm.
They really want relationships. They're hormonally, their bodies and their minds are maybe telling them that they're ready for these things.
Yes.
But really not. And I think that as a now an adult version of a girl whose family very much did not have that expectation for her also was huge. Like, I really appreciate that my parents, all of the people that were involved in raising me, had no expectation that I would. I know that you, Iris, I know that you and Dad and my mom, that everybody wanted me to be my full self. And I feel like there was never any pressure for me to get married or to date or anything like that. If anything, when I got married and first announced I was having my first child, even though I was in my late 20s, there was very much some not bristling, but very much oh wow, I can't believe she's actually about to do this, as opposed to, I know that, I got married when I was 27. I know some of my friends at that point, their parents were like, where are the grandchildren? And so I think that was huge for me, that there was nobody thought it was weird that I didn't have a serious boyfriend in high school. And nobody thought it was weird that I didn't really, Aaron and I started seeing each other in college, but we didn't really get serious until post-college.
Right.
And we very much both pursued things that we wanted to do. We were long distance for 3 years. We very much pursued what we wanted to do separate from each other, and still do very much exist in that way in our relationship. And so I think that when families don't set the expectation that motherhood should be your end game, that is also a big deal, that a relationship and motherhood, right? Because I will use an I statement. I feel like we never set that expectation for men and for boys. I think that we very much set that expectation for girls, even from I love your dog, even from a young age, we set that expectation of, when will you meet someone, and is he the one, and are you going to get married, and so I think that because that was never an expectation from anybody in my family, it really helped me to make a decision about when I wanted to and what I wanted that to look like. And I think that's huge. And I think that for too many young girls that I know or have worked with over the years, the expectations coming from home or it's coming from friends, and nobody's countering it. Nobody's saying it's totally fine if you don't date anybody till you're 24.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's all good. I could say I basically didn't meet my husband, until I was 29. I got married at 33. I didn't have my first baby till I was 36. Had a second baby at 38. And I was like, we got grandchildren. All my family all had something to say. I have 11 siblings, and it was like I did it my way.
Yes. And I bet you knew not that your other family folks didn't know themselves, but you knew yourself in a different way, right?
Absolutely.
Than someone that was younger.
Right. Yeah. I knew, I remember I didn't have any children. It was like, I could do what I could do. I was already knew so much about myself at that time. But it was like, if I get this done, I get it done. If we don't get out the house at 6 o'clock in the evening, because I got to get us dressed and get, whatever it took, that was okay. And I was okay with it, Absolutely. And so, so it made a big difference for me. And after seeing my siblings, deciding to marry young and having kids young, and it just, and some of them would say if they had to do it over again, they would do it differently. But I just didn't want to do it like that.
Yeah.
Now, my mom, she married young too. I was like, no, we're not doing that. And my daughter always says, if I do have children, I don't know if I want to be as old as you were. I'm like, you got to do it your way.
Exactly. And seriously, but I think what's important, I think it really is important though, to have folks, again, right, to have all these different images of what life experience can look like, and to have folks saying choose your path, cut your own path. Right. And I think as a woman, to have folks not saying to you motherhood is an
identifying of your womanhood.
Exactly. You must achieve this. If you want to, we want you to, we want it to be joyful.
Correct.
We will support you. And if you don't, or if you wait, or if it looks different, then that is great too. And I think that high school girls and younger, frankly, need to hear more of that all the time. I'm often stunned by, and I know my, you know, like all of the child development things say that children, you know, look to recreate themselves in the identity of the parent that they, so if you have a daughter, she's looking to mom, you know, she's looking to dad too, but she's looking to mom for ideas.
Right.
And yeah, they're literally looking at you because words don't teach. They're watching you.
And Eden says all the time to me, I want to be a mom, but I want to be, which I think is beautiful. And it sometimes makes me bristle. Like I have to figure out just the right way to be like, yes. And what are all the other things you want to do? You know, like, but what are the things in society, no matter how much I tell her, there's so much more. How can I both be supportive of that and also be like, and let's talk about other things.
Right.
Because you're only 4.
Right.
Right.
So
on the other end of that, like look at Iris and I, now our children are grown. So because then what do you go back to if that's the only thing? And I see so many women now, your children are grown, they're out of the house. Oh, I wish they were little again. I don't wish my children were little again. This is the circle of life. It's nice. Now it comes back to me. And I'm mapping out a life that I want. And that's what I'm in the process of doing. You know what I mean? The older my children got, the more and more I started taking back more of my own life. That's how I was able to do it. So when they finally was left, I didn't feel empty.
Yes.
I really didn't feel like an empty nester. It was like, you know, even my eye and I talked about this, but even when they come home, I'm like a little lonely, but like 2 weeks after that, I just, you know, jump back into, you know, my pattern, what I'm doing, what I'm developing. And I'm truly creating myself. I was with my husband for 24 years. And that's a whole nother recreation. And it's a beautiful thing. You know, you have to know how to pivot in your life because you know, you think it's going to keep going like this and not necessarily. You know, you're going to have, you know, some ebbs and flow in that situation. And you got to learn to ride with all of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I told Nadia, Nadia was 29 when she became pregnant. I was 29 when I became pregnant. Your mom was 29 when she became pregnant?
Yeah, she was 28, 29. Yeah.
Okay. And so it's funny how examples, right? The different examples we have. But I was telling Nadia that before 29, I was still in the zone that I was not going to have children. Right. And I remember speaking to this woman at work one time, and I was saying how I love the stage where your children are able to tie their shoes and you say, get your bag and it's time to go. She said to me, you really don't love your children. I said, I'm sorry, that's not at all what I said. I said, I had a stage. Like there are parents who love that baby stage, you know, where they're babies and you can rock them and hold. I love that part too. I love, you know, rocking in sleep. I love nursing. I love reading. But I love the stage when we could communicate. You know, that was the thing I loved about our children. They were verbal. We never goo gaga. Our children were verbal. They spoke. When I met children who didn't speak, I would say, in this house, you must speak.
Yes.
You must speak here to identify what you want or what you're trying to say.
Exactly.
And so we learn so much from our children when you treat them like human beings and not these articles or things that cannot process, because that's the furthest thing from the truth. Any person that has ever met Nadia is always like, they remember Nadia. Like I remember Nadia came to visit us one Christmas, and we went to my sorority sister's house, Lisa, and we were sitting in the den, and so Nadia goes over to the fireplace. She goes, aren't you all a little chilly? And my sorority sister has never forgotten that. And she's always like, it's not chilly. You need to come on over here and have a seat where we are. And now for her to to know that you're a mother now. And she always goes, oh my God, she's like, I remember that little girl. And I'm saying, I think it is so important to nurture children, right? Not treat them like they are children, but you got to remember that you're nurturing adults, or you're nurturing them to adulthood, into the stages of growing up. And
it's quick. Childhood is very quick.
Right. It goes quickly, but I think it's important that you lay the foundations early in life. Like, Nadia would always make me laugh because I remember I would say, Nadia, you need to take a nap. And Nadia would say, I'm not sleepy. I would say, but I am.
Yes, I need a break.
And so she would say, but I'm not sleepy, Iris. And so I'd say, well, just go in the room and lay down. And sometimes she would go and she'd fall right to sleep. But Nadia's thing was, it let me know Nadia's brain was always going, right? Yeah. Now you put her in a car where she could not move. Before you could pull out the driveway, she's asleep. Because she couldn't, yes. But it just taught me that her and my son and my daughter, they just, like I said, verbal, we read to them, we sang to them, or, of course, Nadia wasn't in the womb, but we always read to them. Yeah. And we always spoke to them in proper English, no baby talk and that sort of thing. And so it's amazing. Yeah, what you see continues on. So now we have, we see, the babies now, and we're like, oh my God, we cannot wait for them to just start. And, so we're excited. And I think that's the thing people need to understand. Motherhood is an amazing experiment.
Absolutely.
But it's your experiment.
Yep.
Right. And there are going to be some things, as long as you don't burn down the lab. They're gonna be so. They're gonna.
And God knows if you don't want to have, like my daughter said, I don't want to have any children. I'm like, then don't have any.
Nope.
Everything is not for everybody, and that's okay.
And don't let anybody make.
Exactly. Right. Less of a woman. Exactly, Nadia.
Like Izzy says, you're, the youngest sibling says, I'm not doing that.
Yep.
Now, funny enough, she said, I don't even like children. But now she says, but I love my niece and my nephew.
Yeah, she likes to be around Eden and Isaiah.
So it's interesting. And that's what I'm saying. It's not, it's unfair to put expectations on us. Like you said, we don't do that to men, right?
Exactly, which is true.
Because men can have children well into their 70s, 80s, whatever, right? We have a time frame, right, in which we need to, or as one would say, we must. Because even the fact that you term a woman, what is it, after 25 or something, that it's a geriatric pregnancy, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Our grandmothers had babies into their 60s. We have grandmothers who had babies into their 60s and stuff. And so, so I just think, remember that your motherhood is your motherhood. Your parenting is your parenting. Mm-hmm. The one thing I think is more important is to be responsible parents. And I think that's the thing that we deal with. In this society, we have so many people who don't understand that children don't ask to come here.
Yeah.
Right. We are a vessel that we bring them here, and it is our responsibility to nurture them and to grow them and to take care of them. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes that's where I think we are failing as a society in terms of, because just because people get divorced, you can't split children in half.
No.
You have to maintain a family, human relationship with one another, because your children are watching.
Yes.
That's true.
And what are you teaching them? What are you teaching if you don't learn how to navigate separation?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's important.
It's very important. Yeah. Very important.
So
but mother, like, It's great though. Like I know I always knew I always wanted to be a mom, but I also knew that for me, I did not want to be a single mom, you know, because it is a lot. You know, I didn't want. If I had never gotten married, I would have never had children. You know, but when I got married and felt that was the right partner, that we could, create these little people together, and it felt good. And even us not being married any longer, but he is still their father, and still there doing for his children, and that's what's most important.
Yep. So now,
yes,
what's next?
Vacation. I'm going on a momcation with a friend this weekend.
Yay!
I am doing that. Yes.
Right, where you going?
Right.
I'm going to Cancun for a couple of days. Yes.
Go ahead, momcation.
I'm sneaking away for a momcation with a childhood friend, and so that feels.
I love it.
I'm gonna sleep for a couple of days. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna sleep. So I'm really excited to sleep in. People are like, "Oh, you're gonna go to the beach." I'm like, "I'm gonna sleep. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna sleep through the night." So
get some rest. I know that's right. I'll ask Iris, how did that really work for you? Let's see if you really got a chance to sleep through the night.
Okay, so I'm going to sleep. I'm gonna sleep. My friend who I'm going with likes to sleep, so I think we will both sleep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's nice.
But
I want you. Do you own a sleep mask?
I do own a sleep mask, and you just
take the sleep mask with you.
Okay. And
so because you want to keep the room, you want to keep it dark. So even if someone turns on the light or the sunlight comes in, you will not awaken.
Oh my God, I apologize. But I think just whatever happens next, just continuing to pursue, as my children, and I have a baby again, but as he every day is more independent than he was the day before. And
Absolutely.
So as my children continue to become more independent and all of those things, just making sure I'm still continuing to make time for the things that make me happy beyond being a mom and a wife, and just continuing to learn more about myself. I think 34 is exciting. I'm excited to turn 35 and just keep exploring life. So yeah, I think that's next. I'm not really sure. I think one thing that's been really fun about quitting my job, pursuing education in different ways than I ever would have imagined before is the incredible possibility of the unknown. So I've kind of just been I'm very much a Virgo. I'm very much a type A personality, and I've been pushing myself to ride the wave. And so I'm just going to keep riding the wave, seeing what comes my way, and just trying it out. So yeah, we'll see what.
And just continue to be your authentic self.
Sorry?
I said just continue to be your authentic self.
Yes, agreed.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm still learning myself. I'm 58. Okay, so it doesn't stop.
No, it does not. It does not. I agree.
As it shouldn't. You know what I'm saying?
As it shouldn't. Every day is a new day.
Exactly.
And the thing is that the great thing about becoming a mom or being a mom is that you're always a mom.
Yes.
Oh, no doubt.
Because as your children grow, your children will have friends, and I promise you're going to mother those friends. And you will mom some of the people on your job, and you will be mom to some of the people that you go to church with, and you'll be mom to, because momming is a thing. It's when you're authentic about it, it's a thing. I always say, I think there's a sign on my head that says, "Tell me all of your stuff." And I think that once you're a mom, people sense that in you. People just come and start like disclosing, and you're going, all I said was hi.
With all my nieces and nephews, I was a mom. I've been a mom since I became an aunt when I was 3 years old. So I have been in that position for a very long time.
So now we love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
I love you too.
Do you have any final words other than what you just said, or is there anything else you want to leave with the folks?
Yeah, I'll just say, continue. If you're somebody out there who's a mom, looking to become a parent, Look for lots of definitions for what it is. Don't just find one or just seek a response from one person. Look for lots of varied possibilities, because you'll be surprised by all the different ways of existing as a parent that are out there, and that will help you decide who you want to be. So yeah, that's my end.
Awesome. Steph, what's your final words?
Well, I just want to say to this phenomenal young woman that I won't say that I'm proud of you. I'll just say I'm proud for you, because I had nothing to do with it. I just think that you're a beautiful, beautiful, young woman. And congratulations to you and your beautiful, beautiful family. And I know many much things are going to come to you.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely. And God bless you and your beautiful family, honey. I'm so happy to see you.
Yes, it's
yeah. Let me ask you a question. How tall are you?
Huh?
How tall are you?
Iris's height.
Maybe okay, so because you were mentioning before. Okay, so you're not. Okay, so you're like 5'4".
Oh yeah, I'm like 5'2.5".
Yeah, I'm 5'3". I kept saying I was 5'4" until Isabella told me, "Mommy, you're not that tall."
Oh, okay. So I'm taller. Okay. No, because when I met her, and I met her and Rhonda at the same time. So because Rhonda was 1, so I guess you were 6 then.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought you were like 4, but no. And I just once you started talking, I could realize that you're a little bit older. And you said something in the realm of, everybody thinks I'm younger than I am. And my mother said that's good because it makes me look cuter. I'm like, okay.
Sounds like something I would have done.
It sounds like something you would have said, right? Yes. See, it's all true. Now you all know it's all true. There are no lies detected here.
No lies detected. You're fired.
Well, guys, we thank you all so much for joining us. Nadia, thank you so much. My love, my heart.
Yeah.
For joining us today, for sharing knowledge, for blessing someone so that will be listening and tuning in, and letting people know that it's okay to live your life. Live your life, right? Don't live someone else's life or what someone else. Live your life, because there's joy in your life and in your peace. So, happy mothering.
Thank you.
I just want to say one last thing.
Yes.
Happy people raise happy children.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. People at peace with themselves raise people who are at peace with themselves.
Absolutely.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Well, Dash said hi. This is Dash, Nadia. He was getting fussy.
All right, guys, we love you. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you all for tuning in. And we appreciate you all so much.
Bye. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.